Hi, everybody. How are you doing? And welcome back to another episode of Security Nuggets podcast. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. And I'm your host, Ashley, and it's a pleasure to see you here. Now, today we're delving right into a very critical topic in security risk management. Also, a strategic component that organizations can get to utilize when they want to build and nurture security risk awareness culture within the organization. Now, we're looking into fostering open communication in as far as security is concerned. How can organizations foster open communication within their organization? Now, if we want to make sure that our internal communication systems are working effectively, we need to encourage employees to openly communicate with management and leadership. Now, remember, we want to make sure that the security processes, procedures, considerations that we are recommending and implementing and integrating around the organization, we want to make sure that employees are complying. They are implementing those security procedures and processes and considerations. We need to be very keen on the continuous review and monitoring, which entails making sure that we are supervising and monitoring the manner at which the security considerations and processes and procedures we've recommended are being implemented. So we need to make sure that employees are complying. And how can we make that happen? By making sure that we have an internal open communication system whereby any form of and compliance is being brought to the management attention or leadership attention, and it is being acted upon. That way we can enhance on the compliance levels. Now, for any sort of compliance to take place, the organization needs to make sure that it is having a strong compliance and ethical culture. We need to just build on the compliance levels and just build on the ethical levels, right? But before we do that, we need to make sure that employees understand what compliance is, employees understand what ethics are, okay? And then we help them. We help them with that, all right? Now, we've got to understand what's compliance. Now, compliance is acting in accordance with an organization rules, regulations, and standards. So when when we adhere to those rules and regulations and standards, we are being compliant. We are acting in compliant with the organization's set standards. So we are being in compliant. When we don't act according to those rules and regulations, we are being non-compliant. We are doing the opposite of what the organization expects from us. So we are being non-compliant. Now, how is the organization going to know that we are being non-compliant? How do they get that information? Obviously, we've put a set of systems in place just to ensure that they are flagging out any non-compliance. Some of the security systems and security considerations and practices we recommend, some of them are very technical and very digital. Some of them are digital related. So those ones automatically capture any form of non-compliant, and they can flag out when someone is trying to bypass a certain procedure that's supposed to be followed, okay? But sometimes the procedures and processes are manually input where the human element comes to play, all right? And sometimes we even have digital systems, but when people want to not be compliant, they can be very determined in as far as circumventing those systems, just so they can be able to do their own thing. What are ethics? What are ethics? Now, ethics, these are concepts of right and wrong behavior. Basically, a set of principles that help employees in their choice, in the choices they make, which ultimately influence on the behavior. All right. So we give them these principles just to make sure that they are behaving responsibly, and they are behaving in line with the organization values and principles. They are not behaving contrary to what the organization expects of them, okay? So when we have an internal open communication system, then we are able to make sure that employees are feeling comfortable to report to leadership when there is some form of unethical activity, unethical behavior, any illegitimate activity, any form of misconduct, okay? But employees can't report to management when they are not feeling compelled by having a strong compliance and ethical culture. What are the moral condemnation levels? Are we, as an organization, have we invested resources or time just to train employees, just so we can get to make sure that our employees are having high levels of morality? They are having they're having a moral compass that that works best for the organization's interest, okay? Some organizations have put in place ethics and integrity programs, okay, whereby from the organization mission statement, they have their values and principles there, and a whole program that aims to highlight some of the values and programs there, and how they go about making sure that those values and principles are rooted within the organization practices, activities, and this just enhances the moral condemnation within an organization. Therefore, employees feel very motivated to report on issues of non-compliance and issues of unethical activity or misconduct. They feel very motivated to do this because they have been instilled in them right from the onset when they joined the organization. They have been instilled very strong ethical and compliance culture. So it only works when that is balanced. You can't expect employees to report any unethical behavior or non-compliance behavior, non-conformity behavior, if you as an organization have not invested in trying to create this awareness and try to motivate them to have those strong morals and just have that strong ethical and compliance culture. Now, some of the internal communication systems that organizations have in place are one, having a compliance hotline. This is a phone that's this is like a phone communication system that's available, where employees are allowed to call to contact the compliance office or the compliance officer when they notice that there's non-conformity within a certain business function within the organization, or maybe it has to do with independent employees. So they call through the compliance hotline. So they are reporting that there is an issue of non-conformity. Sometimes organizations call this an integrity hotline as well. Where if there are issues of breach of integrity, where we are having maybe fraudulent activities happening, or we are having unethical behavior happening, employees who witness this are now expected to communicate through the integrity hotline to the other end of the office. Maybe this is supposed to be handled by compliance, maybe by legal, maybe by HR, maybe by security office, all right? But whatever the case, depending on how the organization wants to structure this, the point is communication has been made, something has been reported, and now it is upon that office that's concerned to take action. Now, The other way organizations can handle internal communication, just to foster open communication within employees, is by having what we call a whistleblowing program. A whistleblowing program. Basically, this is a program that allows employees to alert when there is an unethical activity happening. They whistleblow. It's a metaphor. They alert. They notify the concerned office that, look, there seems to be some form of misconduct happening here, or something illegitimate or unethical happening here. So we are blowing the whistle so that you can proceed with your own internal investigations, just to make sure that whatever we are reporting is accurate, and you can do something about it. Okay? Now, whistleblowing is very important, and I'm seeing a lot of organizations now implementing it. And the benefits of having a whistleblowing program are quite numerous, all right? Now, how you set up the whistleblowing program as an organization is just it just has to be commensurate to how you want it to be set out. Now, you can probably ensure employees are communicating through the whistleblowing program by emails, or you can just make sure that they are making a phone call, or some organizations have set a whistleblowing digital software platform within the organization. So they actually have like a software application, a digital application, a whistleblowing software application, where employees are able to input or any or information that relates to an area of concern that they have witnessed unethical activity or misconduct, and they are able to share that information. And it is anonymous. Nobody gets to know that that's them. That's the beauty of it, okay? So depending on how you want to have your whistleblowing program work, you can use different forms of communication systems. But the most important thing is that you have it in place, because the benefits are numerous. One, you get to create awareness. Some of these unethical activities happen without management's awareness, okay? And some of them go on for so long without nobody reporting or knowing it's happening. And somebody just detects it and witnesses and reports. And by so doing, awareness is created. Leadership gets to find out, oh, there's unethical activity happening. Maybe it's a fraudulent activity that's happening that may have cost the organization a lot. So it stops. It stops the unethical activity, and it also creates awareness to management. So that's one of the benefits. Now, the other benefit is that it actually protects an organization's reputation. A whistleblowing program is bound to protect an organization's reputation, because when you have an internal communication system where employees have a platform where they can, if they witness some wrongdoing, or if they witness illegitimate activity or unethical activity happening, they can report. If you don't have that in place, whereby they can feel comfortable enough to internally report it for you to handle it internally, then chances are they are going to report it out there. They are going to report it out there, maybe to the media or something, or maybe put it out on social media. And we all know social media right now, how it works. It's like a bushfire. It spreads so fast. So depending on the context of the organization, such sensitive information being shared out there is bound to negatively impact on your organization's reputation. So instead of you having to go through all that, having an internal communication system in form of a whistleblowing program definitely helps you in terms of maintaining your organization reputation. The other benefit is that it enables an organization reduce on losses, okay? Now, assuming that we are talking of a fraudulent activity that has been going on for so long and the monies that are involved are quite a lot. So we are looking at company losing a lot of money, okay? So if you are able to detect this as an organization by form of communication, internal communication, where an employee has witnessed this is happening and they have reported it through the whistleblowing program, and you detecting this, you are able to stop that and stop that loss from escalating further, then you have benefited from that whistleblowing program. So it automatically helps you to recover your monies where possible, and it helps you to stop further losses from continuing. It just helps you to stop escalating the situation, okay? So that's the other benefit. Now, the other benefit is that it literally stops the organization from escalating that malpractice. We all know that unethical behavior within an organization is like a cancer. Unethical behavior within an organization can spread so quickly, compromising even innocent employees who had no idea this was happening, but they attempted to get involved in that malpractice. So it's like a cancer. Okay, one person starts it, they influence other employees, and before you know it, it's an unethical behavior that is being done by so many people within the organization, other employees. So it has spread like a cancer. It has escalated. So having a whistleblowing program ensures that the malpractice does not escalate to a more severe degree, okay? It doesn't escalate to a more severe degree. We are able to just deal with it in good time. That's the other beauty of having a whistleblowing program. And lastly, but not least, it just enhances on the it just enhances on the ethical culture. Employees know that when we witness unethical behavior and we report it through the whistleblowing program, the organization management acts on it. We know it acts on it because there is history of previous incidents where information was reported and they acted on it and we saw results. So we know that whenever we witness wrongdoing, we report it, they are going to act on it, and it builds on trust. It builds on trust two-way. It builds on trust within employees, that it builds on trust within senior leadership, and there's that trust going, which is very important. So it just nurtures, it increases that ethical culture within an organization. Now, this is very important. When we are dealing with the non-compliance reports, where there has been a report that there's a non-compliance issue pertaining maybe an independent employee or a department of business function, or maybe the report has to do with unethical behavior, illegitimate activity. It is very important for us to assess that information. Before we take action, we need to assess that information and we need to investigate it thoroughly, so that when we are acting upon it, it is legitimate information, okay? Because we know that you might be in an organization where maybe you are not a popular employee or you're not a popular department, and somebody just decides to report that you've done something and maybe it's not true, it's unfounded. So it might not be genuine report. So how can we make sure that we are acting on genuine report? By making sure that we are doing thorough assessments and thorough investigations, okay? And as investigators who are responsible for assessing these reports that we are getting, we need to make sure that for us to be able to do our jobs impartially without taking sides, We need to make sure that we are very professional in the organization, okay? We are keeping it strictly professional with the rest of the employees, okay? So that when there is a report that needs to be investigated, we don't have to feel compromised, okay? You are able to do your job without being impartial, because the moment you decide to be impartial, then you're just making the whole you're making the internal communications very complicated. You're basically breaching on the trust that the employees have bestowed to the organization, where they want to feel comfortable enough to openly communicate to leadership. So as investigators, or as the office that has been mandated that responsibility of acting upon any reports, remain professional, so that when you come in to investigate, you're able to do a good job, and you're able um, to be very professional about it. And this is why I prefer it when companies outsource investigators, especially depending on the magnitude of the report or the investigation we're talking about. When you bring in an investigator from outside to do the investigation, they're very unbiased. They take a neutral position because they don't know anybody within that organization. They have nothing to gain. They are there to just do their job and make sure they've done it in a professional manner. Okay, so I encourage it. Actually, I encourage it to my clients as well, and so that you can make sure that the report you're getting is thoroughly investigated and assessed, and the outcome of the whole investigation is very unbiased. All right, and you can be able to make your decision as leadership management, feeling that yes, you're making the right decision. You know, the decision we're making is not coming from a compromise report or a compromise investigation process. Okay, so that's it for today. And I hope you have picked up on a few things, you know, that you can get to start implementing within your organizations, just so you can foster an open communication within your organization, so that employees can feel comfortable enough to report on issues when they see there's a non-compliance going on in regards to security practices, procedures, and considerations. They can comfortably report it so that management can do something about it. And when they see unethical activity or illegitimate activity or behavior being done by any other employee, they can also be able to report it so that management can be able to take the appropriate action, and get to resolve that timely. You've gained a few insights from what they discussed. I hope you have soaked in one or two things that you can start implementing within your organization. If you already have internal communication system going on that encourages employees to report on issues, you're doing great. Just continue making sure that you're enhancing compliance and ethical culture, just to motivate employees to report on any wrongdoing. If you're doing that, well done. If you're not, there's still time to do that. Implement one and start leveraging and optimizing on the benefit of having an open communication system within your organization, where employees are feeling comfortable enough to report on issues, security-related issues, for management to act upon. So I hope you have gained insights from what we've shared and discussed. And until our next episode, I'm your host, Arshley. Kindly share, like, and subscribe if you haven't done that. I'll appreciate it. And goodbye for now.